the amazingly green grocery haul. Believe it or not, everything I bought was green. This is it. This is my grocery haul. Green, green, green. Kermit would be proud. I got all of this stuff at a local grocery store. The celery were 3 for $1. Amazing. The cilantro were 4 for $1, but I just got 2. The green peppers, most of them were bad. So sometimes on these sales, you're really going to have to search, but I was able to find probably the only 6 that I would have really wanted to eat, and they were 6 for $1. That sounds amazing. I'm going to cut them up and have them as snacks. The amazingly yummy, oh, I love steamed broccoli. Broccoli were 2 pounds for $1. I got 4 crowns. And then the pièce de résistance. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I got almost, actually over 4 pounds of asparagus. These were 99 cents a pound, and I am going to prep them in a way and put them in my fridge to ensure the longest life possible. And if it gets to the end of it and I still have some left, I will be making a soup because I love asparagus. This might not look like enough to survive on for a week, and that is correct. The reason this is all I needed to add is because 1, I have some in my fridge left from last week's sale, and 2, I actually do a lot of bulk bulk cooking. I bulk cook everything. I freeze them individually because I'm just one person, and then I pull out what I need and I eat them. I have a smoothie every single morning, and it's the same smoothie every single morning, and I buy the ingredients online, bulkfoods.com, to get a really good deal, and then I just pull stuff out of my freezer for lunch and dinner, and these are things that I will add to get some freshness, and the other things that are in my fridge that I'll add to my meals and have some super yummy meals for an inexpensive price. All of this in front of you, everything, $7.59. Amazing. I have washed all of my yummy green peppers, and now I'm trying to bulk prep them. The thing about getting them at these less expensive stores is you won't get the ones that are all normally shaped. That can end up meaning that it's a bit harder to cut them, and you will have to look out for ones that are a bit past their prime because there's a reason they're on sale. But you can also very often find some very, very good deals. Now, I have a dual bin prepping my veggies, and that makes no sense until you understand the genius of it. And that is that the stuff that is ready to eat, good to go, goes in here. And I'll put a little bit of water in to keep them fresh. The stuff that's perfectly fine, but maybe should have been loved a little bit earlier, or it's the ribbing of the inside of the green pepper, I put into the old coffee bin, and that goes in my freezer for what I call stone soup. And stone soup is soup that you make from an amalgamation of everything in your fridge, and in my case, everything in my freezer. So I make a good amount of soup every year from things that otherwise wouldn't have been able to be loved again, or at all, actually. And I really like doing that. I don't like wasting food. And the nice thing about it is, seeing as the cutting board's out, the knife, everything's ready to go. It's not any real extra time for me. And when I actually go to make the soup, I take all the remnant veggies, I throw them in a pot with some meat beans because I can't eat meat, and add any flavoring I want, and I'm good to go. It's just about the fastest soup you can make because everything's already done for you. And I love that about it. I hate the idea of wasting food if it can be at all avoided. Also, sometimes if something was in my fridge and I really meant to eat it, I promise I did, but, life happened, or honestly, I just wasn't feeling it that week, and I didn't eat it. Then I will, when I can remember to, get to it, put it in the stone soup container, and be able to extend its life, or be able to, extend the freshness of it, and be able to actually ensure that it's eaten, which I really like doing. So, choppity chop. Gracious. So I'm almost done here, clearly. But I also took all my asparagus, took the rubber bands off. I mean, why not buy asparagus just for the rubber bands? They're amazing rubber bands. And I put them all in a mason jar with water. This is supposed to help keep them fresher longer. I've never actually kept asparagus around long enough to truly test this theory, but I did buy a lot this time, so I'm going to try this out and just dump out the water every few days and replenish it as needed. So that would be nice. Here is all of the green peppers that I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to fill this up with water. Again, every few days, if you haven't eaten it all up, dump the water, replenish it. It helps keep them crisp and yummy. I should wrap the celery in aluminum foil, but one, I don't remember if I even have aluminum foil because it's supposed to make them last longer, and two, I don't want to. And just putting everything away here right now is going to be all I can handle. And the broccoli, you can cut the bottom of them off and also put them in some water. It's supposed to help them last longer. Might end up doing that, but that's going to be for a later day because right now I know all the energy I have is enough to clean up. It's Monday now. I am chopping up a good amount of my groceries that I bought last Thursday, and I'm just trying to process them in a way that still saves some. The week kind of got away from me, as it always does, and I want to be able to use the great produce that I bought, so I'm going to take a little bit of time to chop these all up, wash them, and then save them in my fridge and freezer. These little tops, I'm going to wash them and then chop them up for my stone soup. I do a rough chop at the top and a rough chop at the bottom. I am going to try and regrow the celery. It's never worked for me before, but I figured, hey, why not keep trying? It could be fun. Who knows, it actually could work out. And it would be exciting to watch it grow if it actually works. I like to just pull off all the leaves. I've tried to add the leaves to soups and everything, but I'm not really into the texture that provides. I know some people really like it, but I don't even like adding spinach to my dishes or adding cauliflower. No, cauliflower's not the word I was looking for. Adding kale. So I know there's probably some really good uses for it, and some people will wash them and then use them for broth, and that's a great idea. Oops, that fell on the floor. I have not found making my own broth to be worth it for me, because I find the broth that I make isn't as strong with flavors as I would like. I prefer the better than bouillon broths, and that's what's best for me. I buy the concentrate, and that's my preference. But if you wanted to be more economical, you could save all these leaves, wash them up, and put them in a broth, or you could actually put them in a soup. It's just not my preference for that texture profile that it gives. So that's definitely a possibility. I am putting the parts that I wouldn't want to eat over here to wash, and then I'm going to use them for my stone soup. And these will be washed. Throwing them off into the strainer. These will be washed and most likely eaten with either hummus or a peanut butter, because that's my favorite way of doing it. I know I could probably process more at a time, but I don't know. 2 to 3 seems to be my limit. Maybe I'll get better. I am going to store these in water. Submerged in water does tend to be the best way to keep it crisp for me. I know you can do aluminum foil, and I was right, I don't have aluminum foil. I don't tend to keep it because I use silicone mats for just about all the baking and cooking that I do. So I think the last time I just ran out of aluminum foil, I didn't end up using it up. Oh, sorry, I didn't end up replacing it. The water trick works just perfectly for me. Oh, these are wilty. If I had gotten to these a little bit sooner in the week, I wouldn't be putting as much to the stone soup because they wouldn't have wilted as much. But I think being realistic about sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't is a better way to keep track of things. And if I'm too critical of myself, then I might actually get so paralyzed by the action of potentially failing that I wouldn't try at all, and that's not great. To help the cauliflower last longer, I'm going to chop off the bottom and then sit them in a bowl with water. And that will help them last longer. And I'll just remember that I haven't washed them yet. These bags are great for pet litter. I used to always have the reusable bags that I would bring to the grocery store, but ever since the pandemic, stores aren't really wanting you to use them, so I save these and I use them for kitty litter. I've got all the celery that I'm going to eat chopped up into bite-sized pieces ready for snacks, and in these containers I'm going to put some water in them, change the water out every few days to help them last longer. I've cut the bottom of the celery off and I'm going to put it in some water on the windowsill to check if I can sprout it, and if I can, I will let you know how this is going. I'm going to cut these up now and just prepare them for the stone soup, and I find that the tops have just as good a flavor as the rest of the celery, and it's a really great way of using all the food that you buy and not wasting anything and extending your grocery budget. I've washed these and I washed the bowl and I put them all back in there. I didn't pull out the container that I normally use for stone soup because it's big enough now that and has enough stuff in it that I don't want to pull it out because I don't want to have the things in it constantly go through the freeze and thaw cycle that would happen if it constantly is coming out on the counter. So my solution to that is to just cut everything up and put it in a bowl and then transfer the contents of the chopped up bowl into the stone soup container that's in my freezer. And I probably should have gotten a different bowl, but I didn't want to dirty another one, so I'm going to test fate and see if I can chop them all up and just use my cutting board and then putting them back in the bowl that I'm taking from as a good way of using the space I have. We shall see. I may come to eat my words. There we go. This bowl is about the height of the width of my hand. That's very likely 3 to 4 cups of celery that I can use for a soup at a later date, already chopped up, ready to go. And it's food that I otherwise would not have eaten. And best way to keep your grocery budget down is by wasting as little as possible. So give stone soup a chance sometime, or heck, just put this directly into a soup right away. You don't have to do the process that I do of saving up the extra little pieces, especially if you're not just one person. If you're a family, I'm sure there's lots of little bits here and there that come from doing a lot more cooking than I would do. and you can save those up and reduce your family budget.